My brothers and sisters, today I want to share something very important with you. You see, in life, we often chase after people. We run behind friendships, relationships, and attention, thinking that the more we give, the more we will be valued. But that is not always the case. Sometimes the more available you are, the less you are appreciated. The more you push yourself into someone's life, the more they take you for granted. This is human nature. When something is always there, people stop valuing it. But when it is missing, suddenly they begin to realize its worth. Think about the sun. It shines every single day, but most of us do not even think about it. But the moment it disappears behind the clouds for too long, we start missing it. This is how people function. If you give too much of yourself to those who do not appreciate you, you'll exhaust your energy, your peace, and your happiness. That is why sometimes you must step back. Let them miss you. Let them feel your absence. Let them realize your worth. This is not arrogance, my brothers and sisters. It is wisdom. Even the most valuable things in life are not always available. Gold is hidden beneath the earth. Pearls are deep in the ocean. The most precious things require effort to attain. So why should you be available to everyone all the time for free? Raise your value. Work on yourself. Improve your skills. Strengthen your connection with your Creator. Find peace in your own company. When you do this, you will see that the right people, the sincere people will respect you, appreciate you, and value you for who you truly are. So remember, if people take you for granted, don't beg for their attention. Instead, step back, focus on yourself, and watch how they come looking for you. Because when you raise your value, they will have no choice but to respect you. In life, people often fail to appreciate what is always within their reach. The moment something becomes scarce, its value increases. This is true for material things, but it is also true for human relationships, respect, and self-worth. When you make yourself too accessible, when you are always available at a moment's notice, people begin to take you for granted. They assume that no matter how they treat you, you will always be there. But when you create a sense of scarcity, when you step back and allow your absence to be felt, people start to realize your worth. Think about the things that people chase after in this world. Gold, diamonds, rare artifacts. Why are they so valuable? Because they are not found on every street corner? They are difficult to obtain, and the rarity makes them desirable. The same principle applies to human relationships. When someone is always present, always eager to please, always saying yes to every request, people subconsciously start seeing them as ordinary. But when a person knows how to create boundaries, when they are not always readily available, their presence becomes something special. Many people make the mistake of thinking that constantly giving their time, energy, and attention to others will make them more loved and appreciated. But in reality, it often has the opposite effect. When something is too easy to get, people assume it has little value. Consider the difference between tap water and a rare bottle of spring water sourced from deep within the mountains. One is always available, so no one thinks twice about it. The other is rare, and because of its scarcity, people are willing to pay a high price for it. This applies to friendships, relationships, and even professional settings. A person who always says yes, who never sets boundaries, who is always there at any hour, will eventually be seen as someone who can be taken for granted. On the other hand, someone who knows how to manage their time, who is not always immediately available, and who prioritizes their own well-being will naturally be respected more. Take a moment to reflect on history. The most respected figures were not those who desperately tried to win people's attention by always being present. They were those who carried themselves with dignity, who valued their time, and who ensured that when they spoke, people listened. Their words and presence held weight because they were not constantly available. This does not mean one should ignore people or act arrogantly. It simply means that a person must learn to balance availability with value. A rare gem is polished and preserved, not thrown around carelessly. A wise individual knows when to step forward and when to step back. In relationships, this principle is even more important. When someone is always calling, always messaging, always making themselves available, the other person may start feeling overwhelmed or even irritated. But when there is space, when there is time apart, when a person is not always accessible, it allows the other person to feel their absence, to wonder about them, to appreciate the moments when they are present. Even in a workplace, an employee who constantly says yes to every extra task never sets boundaries will soon find themselves overworked and underappreciated. But an employee who values their time, who takes on responsibilities wisely, and who ensures that their contributions are meaningful rather than excessive will be seen as someone of importance. Human nature is such that people do not appreciate what they assume will always be there. If you give too much too often, without restraint, people expect it as a norm rather than value it as a privilege. The key is to find the right balance. Be kind, be generous, be present when it matters, but also know when to step back, when to allow people to experience your absence so they can truly appreciate your presence. People do not always appreciate what is constantly in front of them. It is only when something is absent that its true value is realized. This is a natural part of human psychology. When something is always accessible, it becomes ordinary. But when it is missing, people begin to notice its significance. This is why stepping back is sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do. Many people make the mistake of thinking that if they are always available, always present, and always giving, they will be cherished and valued. But often the opposite happens. The more someone pushes themselves into another person's life, the more they are taken for granted. It is only when a person steps back that others start to recognize their worth. Think about the simple example of a favorite meal. If someone eats their favorite dish every single day, after a while they stop appreciating it. But if they go without it for some time, suddenly they crave it again. This is because absence creates appreciation. The same applies to relationships and personal interactions. When a person is always reaching out, always initiating conversations, always making themselves present, the other person may begin to assume that this is how it will always be. They may not think twice about it. But when that person steps back, when they stop making themselves so available, the absence creates a shift. The other person starts to wonder why they are not around. They start to question if they have been taking them for granted. That moment of reflection is what creates value. This does not mean playing games or manipulating people. It simply means understanding that too much presence can sometimes lead to indifference. A balanced life requires space. Just as a beautiful piece of art needs empty space around it to be appreciated, a person also needs to give others room to miss them. In relationships, whether friendships or romantic connections, the person who is always chasing, always available, and always giving without limits often finds themselves feeling unappreciated. But when they step back, when they allow a little distance, it creates an opportunity for the other person to see what life feels like without them. That moment of realization is what brings genuine appreciation. There are many instances where people feel exhausted because they are always the ones reaching out, always the ones trying to maintain a connection. They fear that if they stop, they will be forgotten. But the truth is, if stepping back causes someone to disappear from another person's life, then their presence was never truly valued in the first place. Respect is built when people recognize what someone brings into their lives. But recognition often happens when that presence is not constantly there. That small space of absence allows the mind to reflect. It allows emotions to settle and appreciation to grow. Even in professional settings, this principle applies. A person who is constantly available for every single task, who never sets boundaries, may find themselves overlooked because their presence is expected. But someone who knows when to step back, who knows how to create a balance between availability and distance, will often be seen as someone whose time is valuable. People admire those who do not desperately seek attention. They respect those who carry themselves with quiet confidence, who do not need to force their way into others' lives. Stepping back does not mean cutting people off or being distant without reason. It simply means giving space for appreciation to develop naturally. When a person is always available, they make their presence ordinary. But when they allow moments of absence, they become someone worth thinking about, someone worth missing. That is when true value is realized. Investing in self-improvement is one of the most powerful ways to increase personal value. Many people spend their energy trying to gain the approval of others, seeking validation from friends, family, or society. But true value does not come from chasing attention. It comes from working on oneself. When a person focuses on growth, they naturally become more respected and appreciated, not because they demand it, but because their presence commands it. A person who continuously improves themselves stands out without trying. Instead of seeking external validation, they invest in their skills, knowledge, and character. This does not mean becoming arrogant or thinking one is better than others. It simply means understanding that self-respect starts from within. When a person values their own time and energy, others begin to value them as well. There are countless ways to work on self-improvement. The most important one is knowledge. A person who consistently learns and grows intellectually becomes someone people admire. Whether it is reading, gaining new skills, or deepening one's understanding of life, knowledge increases personal worth. A knowledgeable person carries wisdom, and wisdom is something that cannot be ignored. People naturally listen to and respect those who have something valuable to say. Beyond knowledge, self-improvement also involves emotional and mental growth. Many people react to situations based on emotions without thinking clearly. But a person who works on emotional intelligence, who learns patience, who understands how to control their reactions, gains a certain strength that others notice. Being calm in difficult situations, being composed under pressure, and knowing how to handle challenges with wisdom all contribute to personal value. Physical well-being is another key aspect. A person who takes care of their health, who stays active, and who maintains discipline in their lifestyle naturally commands respect. This is not about appearance alone. It is about the discipline that comes with self-care. People who take their health seriously show that they respect themselves, and when a person respects themselves, others follow. Self-improvement also means developing independence. A person who relies too much on others for happiness, success, or motivation weakens their own value. But when someone learns how to stand on their own, how to be content within themselves, and how to find purpose without constantly seeking external validation, they become stronger. Others notice this strength, and it creates a natural respect. Confidence is another byproduct of self-improvement. Confidence does not mean being loud or always trying to prove something. It means knowing one's worth without needing constant reassurance. A confident person does not beg for attention. They do not need to be in every conversation or in the center of every gathering. Their presence alone carries weight because it comes from a place of self-assurance. Time management is also a key part of self-improvement. A person who values their time does not waste it on meaningless activities or relationships that drain their energy. They choose wisely where they invest their efforts. When a person is disciplined with their time, it shows that they take life seriously, and people respect that. Others start to see them as someone who has priorities, someone who is not easily distracted by every passing trend or unnecessary drama. Another aspect is personal discipline. Whether it is waking up early, setting goals, or being consistent in efforts, discipline shapes a person's character. Those who have control over their actions, who do not give in to every temptation or distraction, stand out. They become individuals that others admire, not because they ask for admiration, but because their actions naturally draw it. When a person focuses on self-improvement, they no longer feel the need to chase after people. They do not beg for attention, nor do they feel desperate for validation. Instead, they attract the right kind of people into their lives, the ones who respect them, who value their presence, and who appreciate their efforts. Self-improvement creates a strong foundation where a person is not dependent on others to feel important. They find fulfillment in their own growth, and that fulfillment radiates outward, making them naturally valued by those around them. When a person understands their own value, they stop chasing after people who do not appreciate them. Instead, they focus on becoming the best version of themselves, and in doing so, they attract the right people into their lives. Respect, appreciation, and meaningful relationships are not built by constantly seeking validation, but by becoming someone who naturally commands it. Many people spend their lives trying to fit in, trying to be liked by everyone. They adjust their personalities, compromise their values, and overextend themselves in the hope of being accepted. But this approach often leads to disappointment. The people who truly belong in someone's life are not the ones who need constant convincing to stay. They are the ones who recognize and appreciate value without being begged to do so. The right people in life are those who respect boundaries, who understand effort, and who reciprocate kindness. When a person raises their value through self-improvement, emotional growth, and discipline, they naturally attract individuals who appreciate these qualities. There is no need to force connections because meaningful relationships are built on mutual understanding, not one-sided effort. A person who knows their worth does not waste time on relationships that drain them. They do not beg for attention, nor do they tolerate disrespect. Instead, they surround themselves with people who inspire them, who push them toward growth, and who genuinely care. This shift happens naturally when someone prioritizes their own well-being instead of desperately seeking approval from others. Confidence plays a major role in attracting the right people. A confident person does not feel the need to prove themselves to everyone they meet. They do not change their opinions just to fit in. Instead, they stand firm in their beliefs and values, and in doing so, they attract those who truly align with them. People respect individuals who are secure in themselves, who do not seek validation, but instead offer something valuable to those around them. When a person focuses on their own path, they stop worrying about who stays and who leaves. They understand that not everyone is meant to be a permanent part of their journey. Some people are lessons, some are temporary, and only a few are meant to walk the path of life with them. Chasing after those who do not appreciate them only leads to exhaustion, while allowing the right people to come naturally leads to fulfillment. A person's time and energy are precious, and they should be invested wisely. Instead of giving attention to those who take them for granted, they should focus on those who truly matter. The right people do not make others feel unworthy, ignored, or unimportant. They uplift, encourage, and respect the effort that is given to them. Patience is also a key factor in this process. Many people feel the need to rush relationships, friendships, or social connections. They want instant approval and immediate belonging. But meaningful connections take time to develop. When a person allows things to unfold naturally, without forcing or rushing, they find that the people who truly belong in their life will come at the right time. Not everyone is meant to appreciate a person's value, and that is okay. Some people will walk away, some will misunderstand, and some will never see what is being offered to them. But instead of lowering their standards or chasing after those who do not care, a person should remain focused on their own growth. In doing so, they create a space where only the right people can enter. When a person raises their value, they begin to see a shift in the way others treat them. They no longer attract those who are looking for someone to take advantage of. Instead, they draw in people who respect them for who they are. These connections are stronger, more meaningful, and more fulfilling than any that were forced or pursued desperately. The right people will always find their way into the lives of those who know their worth. There is no need to prove anything to anyone. Simply by focusing on self-improvement, maintaining strong principles, and being patient, the right relationships will naturally form. It is not about chasing or convincing. It is about becoming the kind of person that others value without being asked to do so.